To welcome participating phase and also online participant. We have a kind of, the guest lecture today from South Korea. Dr. Jo is formerly a lecturer and senior researcher at Hanbak National University in South Korea, one of leading CD analytics team in South Korea. And he actually researched many years about smart city planning and also implication to new Korean red smart city plan. So it's one of the things is, before Dr. Jo actually formally present his research, but I just give you a bit of background about his research because it's, when we talk about smart city, we often talk about smart city in Australia or even Europe. Often they refer to kind of retrofitting approaches and urban renewal-driven types of smart city. But the Korean red smart city is completely different approach. It's kind of, from the scratch, kind of greenfield types of development. So there is non-city, just non-human settlement, it's greenfield, they built up 100 or 200,000 population cities within 5-10 years time. So it's a fascinating approach, how they do that. And one of the things is Dr. Jo going to talk about, which is Smart City Act in South Korea. Is actually, they introduced a new act, this mandatory required smart city standard, new actually DA application. For example, minimum internet speed. This is, so in South Korea is treated like, base infrastructure, electricity and storage. Internet is same thing. So if you don't met 4G, 5G, you can't build any built environment. That sort of approach. It's a fascinating approach, top-down, driven by, the legal kind of framework. And so I'm going to introduce two different types of new city. One is Busan Delta City, and the other one is Sejong City, right? Okay, so please welcome Dr. Jo, and hope everyone enjoy it.
Yes. Thank you, Professor Han. Good afternoon. I'm Sungsu, introduced by Professor Han. I'm very grateful for the chance to make a presentation here today. Let's start the presentation. The title is Smart City in South Korea, Sejong 5.1 and Busan Eco Delta City. I hope this presentation can help you understand smart city in Korea. This presentation divided to three main parts. First is smart city characteristics, and second, I will explain the policy and planning of smart city in Korea. Third, we will look into the smart city of Sejong and Busan, which are being built recently. Characteristics of smart city. All computers must be connected, integrated, and available anytime and anywhere. A smart city is evolved from the many persons per one computer to the few persons per one computer to the one person per one computer and to one person per many computers. In other words, in the early day of the smart city, it was a real city that was embedded into a computer. But now, a smart city is a computer that is embedded into a real city. This slide is the Korean government policy Korea government has promoted many policies related to smart cities since the late 1990s. Korea has continuously promoted national smart strategies such as Cyber Korea, Cyber Korea and eKorea, Broadband ID Korea, and UCT law. The Cyber Korea 21 strategy focused on informatization, which expanded the spread of personal computers, and eKorea policy focused on constructing a high-speed internet network infrastructure and a virtual city with the aim of expanding internet penetration. U-Korea focused on integrating information communication and technologies with physical cities for a fusion of virtual space and real space. In 2008, the world's first ubiquitous city law was enacted. Especially, this law stipulates that information and communication infrastructure must be included when constructing a smart city. Songdo Smart City in Korea was constructed based on this law. Since then, the first and second UCT R&D and Smart City Comprehensive Plan had been established. And the name and the content had been revised as the Smart City Law to supplement the limitation of the existing UCT law. The revised Smart City Law has strengthened governance such as citizen participation. The third Smart City Comprehensive Plan is currently established, and the projects are being pushed to invigorate smart cities, such as Smart City Challenge Project, Smart City Regeneration Project, and Smart City National Test Bed Project. The Smart City Planning Project has a national comprehensive plan for the efficient creation, management, and operation of the smart city. Our local smart city plan that is being prompted by local government. The regional smart city plan has been established by 37 local governments, including Seoul and Busan. Is Seoul here, Busan here. The smart city policy projects have a national smart city testbed project, smart city challenge, smart city regeneration project, and smart city integration platform supply project. If it includes the current project, there are over 100 smart city projects in South Korea. The smart city project, which is being promoted throughout the country, is concentrated on Seoul and Gyeonggi. Here. The reason is that general infrastructure was built better there than in other regions, and there are political issues. We can see the smart city project is actively promoted around the Gyeongbu axis. Gyeongbu axis means from Seoul to Busan. Because economic growth has occurred around the Gyeongbu axis since the 1970s. Now we will look at the smart city national test bed Sejong 5.1 district, and Busan Eco-Delta City. The National Smart City test bed is innovative smart city that integrated the new technologies and services toward the fourth industrial revolution. Introducing the Sejong test bed 5.1 district. Sejong is a city to be built in the administrative capital of Korea. The goal of this city are to enhance regionally balanced development. Sejong City is located in central Korea. Administrative functions were transferred from Seoul. The size of the city is about 72 square kilometers. It is a denser city than Canberra. This is the Sejong 5 districts here. The size of the city is 2.7 square kilometers and 20,000 people are planned. It is being built by LH. LH is Public Corporation, Land and Housing. The primary goals of the smart city are to experiment on innovation technologies by increasing national competitiveness by developing a model smart city. The city has planned for autonomous driving, mixed land use, and 27 innovation services in 7 areas with innovation technologies. I will introduce some interesting services out of 27 services. The first is state-owned car restrict areas. The green area here, this green area is not accessible for personal vehicles. Only autonomous vehicles, pedestrian, and personal mobility can move in this green area. These restrictions are aimed at reducing carbon and creating a pedestrian-oriented urban structure. If you live here and your family come to play, your family will need to park in the public parking lots outside moving. When this plan was announced, many people were surprised. I think that this plan is innovative, but it seems very uncomfortable. The picture on the left shows solution for moving inside and inside, inside and outside, outside and outside. The second is integrated mobility service. This service is integrated public and private mobility service into one. In the past, payment method and platform were all different depending on transportation, and it was difficult to integrate the private sector. However, the Sejong 5.1 district integrates public and private transportation service, as well as integrated the payment platform. The service can save cost and time. The third, environmental friendly waste resourcing recycling. Through the introduction of a food resource recycling system, Sejong district has a plan converting food waste to resource. reducing odor, and improving user convenience and urban aesthetic. Sejong 5.1 is embodying a self-sufficient complex that recycles by introducing a food resource conversion biosystem in apartment and attached housing complex. The service instead of carrying food waste outside, it is crushed and discharged directly from the sink and is sent underground to be turned into a resource. Introducing the Busan Eco-Delta City. Busan City is located in the Southern Sea. It is the second capital city in Korea. The size of the city is about 769 square kilometers. It is about the same size of Canberra. The city has population of 3 million people. It is a high density city. Here, this is Busan Eco-Delta City. Here, Eco-Delta City. The size of the city is 2.2 square kilometers and 8.5 thousand people are planned. It is being built by K-Water, which is public corporation relevant to water resource. The Busan Eco-Delta City incorporates and experiments with various water resource innovation technologies. The city has planned for water energy, robot, mixed land use, and 38 innovation services in 10 areas with innovative technologies. I will introduce some interesting services out of 38 services. First, aggressive urbanization is disturbing the natural flow of water, which causes imbalances distribution and drying rivers. The issues of human right to water is rising. In Busan Eco-Delta City, wastewater will be treated in an economically friendly way and be used for cleaning main waterway and gardening. The plan is to reuse 10% of wastewater generated in the city. Wastewater from household and restaurant will be processed through an advanced water treatment system, and the treatment facilities will be equipped with the reuse pressure system. The second service to introduce is heating and cooling for the city using thermal difference in water. Busan Eco-Delta City adopt the smart water concept, which makes the city a showcase of various water technologies, incorporating the surrounding waterways. The city will utilize renewable water summer energy from differing temperature of rivers and the wide area water resource to make the city more eco-friendly. To enable power generation with water summer energy, K-Water apply water managing know-how. It has accumulated over the year. Additionally, considering how the climate affects the generation of renewable energies, Busan Eco-Delta City is adopting an energy storage system to store excess power for later trade. The city plans to achieve generating 120% power required from renewable energy, with 10% power supply for heating from water thermal energy and the ESS. The last service to be introduced is the robot city platform. Busan Eco-Delta City will provide more intimate care with expensive supply of AI-based bot service to assist in many aspects of life, from personal care to accessibility, home running, automated store, fitness trainer, and more. Busan Eco-Delta City will implement a boat sharing program to provide the public with easy access to a vitality of boat. There will be a dedicated boat platform within the city operation platform to offer convenience in daily life. Busan Eco-Delta City is also promoting a road plan where robot can move. We looked at smart city policy and cases in Korea. There are many other services in Sejong and Busan. I wish I could explain everything, but not enough time for presentation. The content can be summarized in several points. Characteristics of Sejong City is the development of a smart city that maximizes traffic, such as autonomous driving, personal mobility, and own car restrict. Busan is focused on water resource development and robotics by taking advantage of its geographical proximity to rivers and seas. Sejong 5.1 and Busan Eco-Delta City are greenfield development. The advantage of greenfield development is that it makes everything new. Also, the new city has several advantages over regenerating the old city. Greenfield development can experiment with new infrastructure and technologies and provide services to save more energy. Sejong and Busan are focusing on integrating the dispersed system. Sejong and Busan are integrating transportation, medical care, crime prevention, and disaster system into one. The reason this is possible is that Koreans' smartphone penetration rate and internet use rate are very high, about 100%. This can be said to be Korea's greatest strength. However, the development of smart city in Sejong and Busan also has side effects. The first is the digital divide, which is because innovative services are being concentrated in new town and smart city. To solve this problem, urban regeneration project is being carried out. However, the effect is not enough. People are constantly moving to new town to receive new service. Lastly, Sejong and Busan are developing in a top-down means. Although the participation of the citizens and the private sector is increasing, it is still insufficient. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Joe. I think, I guess, we have a couple of questions from desk and also from online participant. But I think, I quite like your calm voice, and you actually try to explain couple of innovation applied in South Korean smart city. And do you have any questions? On desk or maybe online? I think it's in chat box. Is someone actually in the chat?
Hazel East Hope
Yeah.
has asked a question. She says, these are fantastic examples. What is the role of government in realizing these? She's especially interested in the food waste recycling case and asking what role would the city government play in realizing this in practice? Does the city government have the necessary power and resources to achieve this? What is the relationship with private companies?
One more repeat.
Mark?
Maybe take off your
Yeah.
mask. We can't hear you too well.
One more repeat.
Sure. So Hazel says your examples are fantastic, and she's interested in the role of government in making these initiatives possible or for them to come to fruition. She's especially interested in the food waste recycling case. What role does the city government play in realizing this in practice? And does the city government have the necessary power and resources to achieve this? What is the relationship with private companies?
Private company 종류에 대해서.
Yeah. Can I just sort of bit of interpret that 그 LPG 시스템이죠. 그게 그 정부에서 주도하는 거예요, 민간에서 주도하는 거예요. 그리고 민간에서 주도하면 민간의 롤이 뭔지, 어떤 역할을 하는지 정부의 역할.
Yes. Unfortunately, food waste system is government oriented government oriented service. So limitation in Korea. Private limitation in Korea.
그 한국말로 잠깐 설명해 주세요. I just sorry about that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
이제
You're a translator.
안타깝게도 이제 한국에서 정부에서 하면 좋지만은 민간에서 하면 좋지만 이제 정부에서 하는 이유
지방 정부예요, 아니면 중앙 정부예요?
중앙 정부에서 만들고 그거를 이제 지방 정부로 이관을 합니다. 네. 그러다 그래서
민간은 참석.
네, 민간은 참여 굉장히 일부분만 참석을 하고 그래서 이제 민간이 하면 매우 좋지만 이제 그런 게 이제 한국의 스마트 시티 탑다운 형식이 하다 보니까 그게 좀 어려움입니다. 네.
Well, thanks, your patient. Hazel, I think it's excellent questions. What is actually Joe point out, because it's Greenfield Development Smart Cities top-down plan. So at the beginning of the plan, the central government, which is Korean central government, actually designed those implications and applications, ground garbage system. And they actually create their resources. They found their own resources and they design and build. Once they build, they actually hand over to local government to manage it. Okay, so there is a limited private sector involved in. So it's pretty much public sector's participation. And I was a bit surprised it's not PPP, public-private partnerships. It's just pretty much operate by state government and local government. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thanks. It's really interesting.
Yeah. So one of the things is this I was first time I thought that this underground suction system. So in the high-rise, high-density apartment, they have a bit of garbage collection center each house unit. So you put the garbage and push the button. There is a vacuum suction, boom, and it go down the underground. And they have a kind of the sort of the treat and recycle. And also they turn into renewable energy. I don't know, they generate some heating and so on. So that's the first time I hear about that fascinating system. And I also found another innovation, which is they design, the robot way, which is we talk about the bike way in Australia. So there is some sort of debate goes on whether we should promote more bike way. But beyond that, it seems South Korea should promote the robot way. I was really wonder, is there any complaint or any opposition about that? Because it's a high density city. So Dr. Jo, do you understand what my question is?
Yes.
Can you answer, is there any sort of challenges and difficulty to implement this robot way in Korean city?
The Korean government allowed Korean government Korean government allowed regulatory sandbox to apply innovative technologies and to avoid the system conflict. As you may know, regulatory sandbox is a temporary release of regulation. Yeah.
So do these robots exist now? I mean, are there robots in the pipeline now today, or is this just sort of planning for future, kind of a future robot infrastructure?
For future.
Yeah.
Operation.
Not operation, either just planning.
So why as an active transport planner, I'm curious why why stick the robots in with the bikes? I mean, is it because of how fast they move? I mean, why did they choose that the robot way would be in the bike lane?
I think the planner, this Busan Eco Delta City planner, Yeah.
I don't think he knows the answer.
I mean, I can see there is this potential logic there if these robots, are theoretically moving at 15 kilometers an hour, then maybe the bikeway is the right spot for them to be. But I'm very curious about the decision-making process that put them there.
Actually, how high is the bike ridership in South Korea? Is there a lot of bike riders, or are they?
얼마나 자전거 타는 사람 많아요?
Not many. Yeah, so because
That's probably.
that's in there. Together, plan.
I guess that they try to test, those delivery robot to deliver coffee, Starbucks and coffee and pizza and things like that. They might use bikeway rather than footway because they try to avoid the human.
In the US, the robots are slow enough that they use the footpath because they're not very fast and they're quite small. But
Yeah.
that robot looks like he might be intimidating on the footpath.
I think it depends on what robot you use.
Yeah.
It might be you have a robot with electric scooter. It might be very very fast.
Chris has a
Oh,
question.
Chris, sorry, Chris. Yes.
Hi, thanks. On the topic of robots, interesting presentation. I'm wondering about drones and the use of drones for delivering pizzas, and I mean the densification of Seoul and Korean cities is such that they're very vertical, and there's work underway, as I'm sure you know, in having goods and services delivered by drones. So is that part of the vision? And maybe they might then deal with the issue of not having robot bikes.
Yes, Seoul is a robot and drone and UAM urban air mobility planning in Seoul. So Hyundai Motors and the government government and Hyundai Motors corporation plan Incheon Airport and from Incheon Airport to Seoul CBD or Gimpo Airport near the Seoul, then Incheon Airport. Seoul CBD is planning. Yeah, have planning.
Is that passenger kind of mobility? Is that you're talking about, or is passenger? Right?
Yes, passenger.
Okay. How about the delivery sort of?
Oh, it is just a plan, not
Just
activation.
plan,
Yeah. How many?
So is there any plan? Drone sort of plan for any new city or smart city in Korea?
Yeah.
So we talk about robot plan, but how about the drone? Is there any consideration about drone, what their role and function? 예, 그 드론에 대한 거는 계획이 없어요.
스마트 시티.
예.
Yes, it have
Okay.
아니요, 가지고 있는데 여기 담지는 못해가지고.
예, 드론 계획은 없는 거예요.
있습니다. 그런 게 있습니다.
있어요? 어디 도시에?
서울에 있고, 네, 서울에
세종, 부산에는
네, 아직까지는.
어떻게
아,
계획이 돼 있어요?
sorry. Drone plan have drone plan have in Sejong. 그 crime prevention detected drone using drone. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and building fire drone dispatching drone. So we can look around the situation in the video fire station.
Yeah. I think Chris said, I guess that the drone actually used for security and safety purpose and regular monitoring and hasn't actually used for delivery at this stage, but they have a plan. And I just hear from Joe said that there is a drone plan in New City. For example, they designed this drone pathway and route, sky route, where they can fly or not fly. It's similar to Australia. We have a drone free zone or non-free. So, but they try to design actual pathway where they can fly. How do they deliver? So,
Okay.
yeah.
A work in progress.
Mm.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
So how is residency decided in these cities? Are people, residents assigned by the government of who gets to live there? Or is it market-based? Is it just open to whoever is willing to pay to live there? Who can live there and what process do they have to go through to live there?
Who can be?
Yeah, so is it assigned? Does the government say, certain people can live there, or do they just does someone just say, I want to live there and so they can pay to live there? Is it market-based or decided by the government?
Yeah, it is market-based.
So it is market-based.
Yeah, it's
So once it's
market-based.
completed.
Yeah, it's a
It's
pre-market-based.
open to whoever is willing to pay. Obviously, it's probably going to be quite
It's a
expensive.
You pick really good point that is one of the challenges. For example, Sejong City, they target population 500,000.
Yeah.
From 0 to 500,000. When they build, there is a lot of vacancies. No one want to move there.
Yeah.
So there is the demand is actually quite low.
Yeah.
Once they develop the new service and facilities, it's catching up
Right.
later. So that's the risk, market risk there. But it's free market.
It is pretty, okay.
Yeah.
So, are there other questions online?
No.
Okay, I was curious, in your first slides, you talked about, and towards the end, you talked about kind of digital divide issues and the fact that people needed to have a smartphone to take advantage of services. So is the government, I know that smartphone penetration is very high in Korea, but is there kind of subsidy? I mean, if you move to one of these places, is there support for people who don't have their own technology, or do those people just not want to live? Do they not want to live in these places?
Well,
Or, I mean, maybe it's a bigger question of, about smart cities in general, and, what's the role of the government in overcoming digital divides? I mean, is it just the kind of 20-year-olds to 60-year-olds who move to these places, or is there a way to capture those people who aren't as savvy with technology?
well, I guess, I live in Australia almost 30 years. My knowledge is limited, but what I actually found that the digital device is not what we actually see digital device in United States and others. It's basically they can access basic internet speed. So people actually link to the Zoom number of family members. They probably, the internet down, not like that. The basic standard or internet speed in Korea across any region, any small town, that is high quality. Okay, everyone has a mobile phone. So even older people use the mobile phone. So level of education, digital literacy, very low. But one of the things challenging is because they propose a brand new smart city, non-smart city, there is a service quality is very different. That's what we called digital disparity. Okay, so it's not like what you see, what we see this kind of disparity. It's basically someone actually order some food in the morning, particular train station and the particular door, and there's food is there next morning when you actually walked in the station. So that kind of service, non-smart city, they don't. Yeah. So that's just the quality of the difference we call digital disparity. Yes.
I guess it's a follow-up from that, my question. So you said it's free market based.
Yeah.
Well, how do they decide the price? Are they just assuming it's based off of whatever the national standard is, or how do they decide what to sell it at since it's being built by the central government?
That was my question. How is the price valuation, housing price valuation, and are you seeing an uplift in price in smart cities compared to?
Smart city is housing price is value is the high because many infrastructure embedded in city, so many and accessibility service. So recently study smart city housing price value about 10% than older city. Yeah.
So I understand that it's like, if you live in smart city, the premium is might be 10% price uplift.
Yeah.
But how you actually decide, the unit price is a benchmark, the surrounding city, all the city nearby.
Okay.
So that is the average kind of, 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and they might have a premium about 10% because of being smart cities.
And is there like a developer contribution? The funding structure of these smart cities, like here, the planning system, usually a planning applicant has to contribute to the new infrastructure that will go into the area. What is the funding structure?
인프라스트럭처 정부가 지원하는 아파트는 민간이
네, 맞습니다.
네, 그러면 민간이 어플라이를 해가지고 그 아파트를 짓겠다고. 그래서
네, 그렇죠.
So it's basically those infrastructure and planning is funded by government. It's a government initiative, but a private sector participate. Like they're building new apartment. In particular, Princeton, Hyundai, they build apartment. Then they sell the apartment. That's their responsibility. Okay, but they need to apply the government are going to develop, this density, this Princeton. Okay, you can. So then, that is up to you. So that's how is private sector participating. So that's structure like this. And the land is developed by semi-government corporation you call the Land and Housing Corporation. I think Chris knows the corporation. The MOU with UNSW. So it's 8,000 staff in a really big national body. They do land acquisition and management and sell. So they buy the land, compensate all existing farmers. They own, they build master plan, and each stages, different principles, private sector participated.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what they do.
Okay. So is the driver behind this population growth, or are the people who are moving into the 500,000 people moving into these cities, are they moving, is this new population that's building up, or is it just people moving out of older cities?
It's majority people move to Seoul. What this Sejong means is a new administrative capital like Canberra.
Yeah.
So all the government department moved to Sejong. So their family moved to. It's kind of balanced development. Is Korea try to redistribute population by relocating public sector agencies.
Sounds a lot like Sydney.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a strategy. So that's population coming in. Then they need restaurants and food, and so other population surrounding area, they're looking for a job or business opportunity, they coming in. It's a kind of a circle.
But
Yeah.
then what are the people are being moved from these other cities to this new city?
Yeah.
What's happening to the places they're moving from? Are they being filled in by, is it just now empty residences, or are they being filled in by immigrants? Are they being filled in by new population, or is it just,
Or increased urbanization, or yeah.
or maybe it's rural, rural residents moving into those cities and those now open apartments? Is that what's happening, or is that still unknown?
그 세종으로 대전에서 이사하면 대전은 어떻게 돼요? 대전 다 망해가는 거예요.
아, 다시 또 대전으로 또 수요가 있습니다. 대전으로 오고 싶어하는 사람들의 수요가
있어요.
예, 또 오고 이렇게
그러면 어느 지역은 도시가
비게 되는 거죠. 결국엔 농어촌이 비게 되는 거죠.
Yeah, I think it's very major issue in Korea. So they built a new city. I think you picked right spot. And surrounding city, the population move in. There's some part of vacancy occupied by other smaller city, but those smaller city population is keep going down. So decreased a lot. That's the biggest problem in Korea. So that being said, you're right on the spot. So, wow, very interesting.
I have one more question. You mentioned the citizen participation and sort of the attempt to balance the top-down development with some sort of citizen participation. Is that using kind of smart city technology tools to improve citizen participation, or is that part of the smart city model, that there's a online forums or just curious?
living smart city living lab program is smart city living lab program. This program is smartphone citizen voting in using smartphone and 민원
So basically, yeah, it does have this sort of e-platform, e-governance, and kind of e-planning participation. That is one of the program. It's quite popular. Yeah. So, but I guess it's well, in fact, the bottom-up approaches is living lab is not just simply e-governance. It's something more like, those private sector basically work with the civilian. I mean, like, public, with the public, they use some applications or tool together with the community and test, long time and what they actually feedback. That sort of a system that you often call living lab in Europe, but it's not quite like that in Korea. That's still behind my view. But they certainly, what we know, e-governance, you can apply DA through your online internet, and you can download the information. You can check your DA status by email. I mean, the system, online system, that sort of things. But I don't think it's truly living lab. Yeah, so that's behind. Good, very interesting discussion, and we probably time now.
Yeah.
So thanks everyone. This Friday late, and hopefully it's sort of interesting discussion from other side of the world and doing something different to us. So yeah, thanks, and hope you enjoy rest of Friday and a lovely weekend. Thank you.
We need to set up a city future tour to.
Yeah.
to-
Yes.